solving mysteries in the night. Chasing shadows, finding answers, shining bright light. No one's left behind in the darkness, all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be. For justice wheels keep turning, granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. When granny's crime busters run, no victims left in pain. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voiceless and the missing, she'll stand tall.
Hello, hello, everybody. I hope everybody is having a wonderful, wonderful day. The sun's been shining here today. It's beautiful out. I haven't been outside, but looking outside, it's gorgeous. So we are I found a video, guys, that I wanted to share with you. I really, really liked what this guy had to say about. He made some really good points about Jack and Lily's case. But before we get into that, I did want to share our spotlight on the missing, and to remind everybody that today is National Missing Children's Day. So in honor of all those that we've been talking about, Sebastian, Jack and Lily, Michael Monkey Vaughn, Summer Wells, Dylan Ayler, and just so many more. Keep them all in your thoughts and prayers today, guys, because our children are important, right? Our children are important. Today, we're putting the spotlight on Jamarian Xavier Johnson. He has been missing for 3 days, guys. Last seen in Lynchburg, Virginia. He's 17 years old, black hair, brown eyes. He was last seen with the luggage and a backpack, so obviously he was meaning to leave on his own, but doesn't matter. He's got family who's worried about him, and they need to know where he is, right? So if you know anything, call the Lynchburg, Virginia Police Department or 911. All right. So let's see what we got here. Hello, Brenda Jo. Brenda Jo's on her way home. K9, hello. Joanne, good to see you. We're happy to have you here. Hello, Jackie O. Good to see you too. Good to see you guys. And anyone else that's hanging out in the bushes. I'm going to go right ahead and get started on this video because it is longer and I want to talk in between it. So I've never watched this guy before, guys, honestly, but I watched this and he was making some really good points. He is an ex-police officer who is familiar with doing searches for missing children. Okay. So here we go.
Very detailed, as a matter of fact. Many of you sent me this case. And if you follow me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is @CanAmMissing. Then I've talked about this at length.
Hello, Ginger Girl.
But I haven't done it on YouTube. It involves 2 kids that went missing in Nova Scotia. And honestly, I thought it would have been resolved by now, one way or another. I have no idea what happened to the kids. I'm going to give you my thoughts about my professional experience in dealing with missing children and parents, how they respond,
Hi, Katie.
what to expect, etc. Now, first of all, this is where the case happened.
Hello, Kent.
A little place called Pictou County, right here in Nova
So, Kent, if you've already watched it, that's great. You can, share your expertise with us.
Scotia. Now, to give you some perception, here's Oak Island. If you watch that show, Oak Island Treasure, the Laginas. And then it's a 2-hour and 17-minute drive to the location in Pictou County. They lived on Gerlach Road. I'll show you a picture of that a little bit later, but Lily and Jack Sullivan, 6 and 4 years old, went missing May 2nd, 2025. Yes, this year, not too long ago. They were reported to the RCMP at 10 a.m. They lived with their mom and their stepdad. The mom's name was Malaya, and the dad's name was Daniel Mortel. This is mom and dad. Or stepmom and dad. Stepdad, real mom. So the two kids, Lily and Jack, had a different father. Now, these two had a 1-year-old child that also lived in the house. To me, that is a big part of this case that you will hear nothing about. I'll get to that later. So they lived on a place called Gerlach Road, Pictou County, Nova Scotia. Very rural residence off a 2-lane highway that backs up into the woods about 25 kilometers south of Glasgow. Now, from the air, this is what the residence looks like. 2-lane highway right here. Dirt road up to their residence, surrounded by woods behind the home. Now, I read a lot of search and rescue reports about this. And there's a lot of deadfall in that area back in there. Now, the children went to a place called Salt Springs Elementary School in Salt Springs, Nova Scotia. Here's where the story is a little bit strange. They were reported missing May 2nd. April 30th, which is a Wednesday, the kids didn't attend school because the teachers had a professional development day. Okay. Thursday, they didn't attend school because they said that Lily had a cough and they held both kids back. Okay.
So I want to just interject here. From what I've heard, whooping cough has been going around that area. So the school district was saying if your child has a cough, please keep them at home. So, is that why they kept her home? I don't know. But I'm just saying that evidently was going around, right? And so that could have been the reason why they're saying, she had a cough and, they kept her home.
Friday, May 2nd, kids didn't go to school again. Supposedly sick. So let's start off this Friday, May 2nd, 9 o'clock. Malaya and Daniel are in their bedroom with their 1-year-old baby. The couple have been together for 3 years. Lily supposedly came in and out of that room several times in the morning. Jack was heard by both of them in the kitchen. They state that there's a back sliding door that is really quiet that they believe the kids exited the house from. Lily and Daniel, 6 and 4 years old. Lily was 6, Jack was 4. Both went to the same school. 9:15 a.m., Daniel, the stepfather, starts looking for the kids, couldn't find them. Got into his vehicle, and he says he drove all the dirt roads in the area looking for the kids. That was his quote. He didn't say he drove the asphalt road, the 2-lane road, just the dirt roads. Looked around for 45 minutes, came home, and they called the RCMP. It wasn't long before the RCMP arrived. They quickly called for more assistance. More units started arriving. At 12:25, RCMP had been there less than 2.5 hours. They make a news release stating that 2 children were missing from Lansdowne Station. That's a small area that they're in. And they request if the public has seen any kids or has any knowledge of the disappearances to contact the RCMP. And then they immediately say there's no evidence of abduction. They've been out on the scene less than 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and they say there's no evidence of abduction. I don't quite know how they could say that. That seems awfully quick to pull that out.
Remember, guys, he's an ex-police officer. So he's questioning them. I realize, guys, that that's not a popular stance with some. And I've said I don't want to criticize the RCMP, right? But I'm looking at the fact that he is an ex-police officer. He worked missing child cases. So he kind of has an idea of how they're supposed to go.
4:55 p.m. same day, RCMP tell the public to stay out of the area of the search, which is ongoing. And they issue a vulnerable missing person alert for Picton County, Nova Scotia. RCMP decided to keep searchers in the woods through the night. Okay. Now, I've told you before, kids don't move at night. They sleep. I understand the need to keep somebody out there. Realistically, it's not going to do any good.
I agree, Ginger. I mean, you know, if police are questioning other police, now I tend to wonder a little bit, right? It makes me take a step back and go, oh, well, what's going on here, right?
Kids are going to bundle up, find a little cubby somewhere, by some boulders. Sometimes they just lay on the ground and they sleep. Well, the very next day, May 3rd, the RCMP had already made a contact on the 2nd with other search and rescue organizations saying, hey, we're going to need you. Well, they called for a major search and rescue. And they got it. They got 100 searchers, multiple canine teams, drones, and helicopters with FLIR. And that search went on all day. They relieved the guys and ladies that were.
FLIR is the name for the heat technology, heat sensor technology, guys.
We're in the woods all night. And now the RCMP did something that I completely have no idea why they did it, unless they're not telling us everything. 5:26 p.m., they issue a wider alert for Pictou, Colchester, and Antigonish counties. Why issue a 3-county alert if there's no abductions?
I agree with that statement. See, he's bringing things out that we never thought of before because he was a police officer. Why issue a 3-county alert if there's no abduction? Obviously, those kids didn't go from county to county on foot.
Friends, these are 4 and 6-year-old kids. They're not going to walk across multiple counties. So why did the RCMP do that if their public statement is that the kids have not been abducted, and they're still claiming that? I don't get it. Now, on that May 3rd, Malaya, the mom, made a statement to the press and Canadian TV news. She says, I want you to listen to this statement closely. I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them, and I want them home. Then the article said, well, the mother had been pushing for the RCMP to issue an Amber Alert. And she states, not just that, but they could possibly be abducted, which is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know they are missing. Multiple sentences there. There's experts out there that decipher the way somebody talks, language. One thing I found a little odd is that the mom never mentioned their name in any of those statements. You know, Lily and Jack, we miss them a ton. I want to know where my kids are. I want them back. Never their name. And then after...
We've heard that before, haven't we, guys? They don't mention their names. That's not good. So let me see. Just checking out your comments here. All right. Okay. Let's continue on.
After they interview Malaya, the RCMP says it again, that there's no evidence the kids were abducted. Okay. They're pushing that avenue real hard. I get it. 6 p.m. that night, the Salvation Army shows up. They arrive on scene, and they start feeding all the searchers breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they make a statement, and they say, we need well-fed searchers with energy. If you're a longtime follower of me, you know I'm a huge advocate of the Salvation Army. I know everyone has their stories about these groups, but I can only give you mine. When I was a policeman, we had a disaster in a certain part of town. And I was working street crimes then, and they pulled us off to do like patrols this certain area from 7 at night to 7 in the morning because of looting. And the Salvation Army came in and established their trailers, cooks. They were the nicest people, never asked for anything. No, you guys can't pay me. This is free. We're doing this as a service to everybody who's working out here. We were all blown away. So I truly support them. And I know other people are going to say, oh, they're horrible, they're this, they're that. Like I've told you before, the test of someone and the test of an organization is at a time of high need, how do they react? Do they try to benefit from your loss and your need? No, they did not. They came to help, to aid, to serve. That's all I could ask. On a side note, while I'm reading everything I could about this story, there's a weird note in the Canadian TV log that Nova Scotians should start to feel relieved to know that in 2026, Nova Scotia is going to have the ability to use text on their phone. What? Nova Scotians can't text on their phone? I read it 3 times. I couldn't believe it. You know, you kind of think that Nova Scotia is hip with the 21st century, but I guess not. May 4th, 160 searchers were hindered in their search efforts to find Lily and Jack because heavy rain covered the entire region. And they had a difficult time staying in the primary search zone 24/7 because it was so cold and so wet. We talk about weather being a factor on these searches under Missing 411. Well, obviously the kids weren't dressed for rain. May 5th, a footprint is found by searchers, but they refused to say where they found the print, how big it was. Was it a footprint or a track? Track from a shoe or a footprint? No clarity. And they said that they expanded the search and focused into that area with drones and FLIR and ground pounders. They never stated where it was or if they found multiple tracks. May 6th, kids missing now 5 days. Daniel, the stepfather, tells CBC, Canadian Broadcasting News, that Malaya has left her home for another area of the province and then blocked him on social media. What? So I've been on several searches for kids. I have never heard, nor have I ever read, of a mother leaving the search headquarters, which in this instance is essentially their home, to go to another part of the city to get away from what's happening there. I have.
Gee, guys, do you know of any other mother that's left the home? I can't think of one. Can you? Okay. So I understand that he probably had something wrong about the texting, okay? He misunderstood something. Let's leave it alone now. All right. Doesn't really matter. So, but yes. Do we know of another mother who left the home within the first week? Another part of the city. I think we do. Maybe we need to tell this guy about Sebastian Rogers' case.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of a father doing that. It was never explained why she left, nor did Daniel explain. At that same time, the maternal grandmother for the kids, Lily and Jack, stated to the press that she was told by the RCMP to not talk to the press. What? What? Why would the RCMP tell any family member to not talk to the press? That's another one I've never heard of. To me, I think it's bizarre. Here's why. On search and rescue of missing people, you want everybody in that community.
Okay, so we can't communicate by text, but we can text to call 911. And I think his point was that the searchers couldn't communicate by text to each other when they were out there searching. So there you have it. Wonder if she left out a blanket and snacks. Yeah. Well, if they got into some kind of altercation, Kent, is it possible that RCMP told her to take her child and leave? I'm just saying, that's a real possibility. I don't know if it's obvious, but it's a possibility. We've thought the same thing of Katie Proudfoot as well. She left right away. Why? We said guilty knowledge, right? I'm not so quick to throw out everything that he has to say, Kent. I think that we should keep an open mind and listen to what he's talking about. Daniel said she didn't leave willingly. His mother told her to leave.
You're talking about the case. You want their photo in everyone's mind front and center. So if they see somebody, they're thinking of those kids. You want Nova Scotia, you want every place talking about these kids. Why would the RCMP tell relatives to not talk to the press? But I have even a better question. The press wrote that down. Where's the logical next question? At the next press conference, why not ask the RCMP, hey, did you tell the parents that they can't talk to us? Well, yeah, we did. Why? A logical question. We're the press. Why can't they talk to us? What are you hiding? What does the public need to know? I'm telling you, journalism does not exist today. Nobody asks the right questions. Nobody cares. It's an embarrassment.
I agree.
May 7th, 2 p.m. The RCMP says that they're scaling back the search and rescue for the kids. They stated that the searchers are literally exhausted, and the RCMP doubts that the kids could still be alive. They said that they searched 4 square kilometers. That's just about 1.54 square miles. Not enough. No, not enough. Here's why. Search and rescue parameters on a 4 to 6 year old child in a mountain surrounding, 95% are found in 2.3 miles or less from the point last seen, meaning the house. 25% are found just 1/10 of a mile away. 50% are found 1/2 a mile away. 75% are found 9/10 of a mile away or less. In 2% of the cases, kids are never found. Now, we're not talking about 411 cases, just talking about missing cases in general. Survivability, less than 24 hours if the kids are found, it's 98%. More than 24 hours, it drops to 38%. That's a huge drop, more than 50%. 48 hours, it's 33%. 72 hours, 0%. I found that astounding. And I actually do not believe that is true, because I know I've had cases of kids 4 to 6 years old that have been gone many, many days that were found alive. So I'm not sure why they use that stat. Now, if they went missing on flat ground rather than a mountainous area, 95% are found in 4.1 miles or less. Mountain setting, 95% are found in 2.3 miles or less. 95%, not 100. Remember, I've given you cases before where kids are found miles and miles and miles away that they can't answer for. So if the RCMP covered just 1.54 square miles, that's not nearly enough. I don't care what they say. They need to go out at least 3 miles from the point last seen in a 3-mile radius from that house, and they didn't do it. So as I stated, the area has a lot of deadfall, what makes it difficult for searchers to get through, and it makes it equally difficult for kids to get through. May 8th, the RCMP closes the command center and drives it away. Daniel, the stepfather, says the RCMP Major Crimes Unit interviewed him at the Stellarton RCMP detachment. Interesting. Search is over. Child's been missing. Kid's been missing 8 days. Far too long to wait to interview him. I'm sorry. At the end of day 3 of searching and they hadn't found those kids, parents are coming in. I don't care if I bruise their feelings. I'm not here to make them happy. I'm not here to make sure I don't bruise their feelings. I'm here because I'm talking about law enforcement, because I'm an advocate for the child. Nobody else is speaking up for those kids. And the number one job is to find those kids alive. When you wait to day 8, chances of them being alive, almost nil. You can't wait that long. Now, they brought him into the station. Okay, that's good. Don't interview him at his house. Interview him at the station, sterile environment where you control the surroundings. I get it. Daniel says he had asked them to take a polygraph test. And he told that to the press. The press asked the RCMP if that was true. They wouldn't even acknowledge it. Major mistake by the RCMP not giving that guy a polygraph when he walked in that door. Huge mistake. I stated before that the Child Abduction Task Force of the FBI has the best law enforcement officers anywhere on that team. I've met them. They're unbelievable. They're exactly who I'd want finding my child. And I guarantee on day 3, they would have been pulling those parents in to do a polygraph. Now, when I talk about polygraphs, all of you start, well, not all of you, many of you start complaining, oh, they're worthless, they're not admitted into court. I don't care. I don't care. You don't understand the tool. A polygraph isn't just sitting down on the machine and getting wired up. Your polygraph exam starts when you walk in that door.
I like this.
And you look at the examiner and you look at the investigator and you start answering questions. And they're watching your mannerisms. They're watching your eyes. They're watching
your
how you react.
behavior. Yep.
Because all of those men and women have been to behavioral courses, and all of this tells them something about you. If you're hiding something, if you're being open and honest, then they give you a sheet to fill out. And they work off that sheet on the polygraph. And while you're filling out that sheet, they're also watching you. And really, I would probably say that 70% of the cases are solved before the polygraph ever gets going. I can't tell you any more than that, but that's just the truth.
Kent, what he's trying to say, I think you're missing the point. He's trying to say that on day 3 is when both parents should have been talked to, no later than day 3, and a polygraph should have been given at that point in time. Reasoning, because they can look at you, they look at your behavior, they look at what you're saying. They need to know everything about the parents from the get-go. Not go back later and figure it all out. That's what happened in Sebastian Rogers' case. They dropped the ball. That's what happened in John Benet Ramsey's case. They dropped the ball. And these kids are not found. Well, John Benet was found, but Sebastian, it's been 15 months.
Major mistake. I would say that the FBI task force would have had this case solved at day 3 or 4. I'm just saying. May 9th through the 12th, well, first of all, May 8th through the 9th, the RCMP stated that they had a dive team search the ponds and the swamps in the area thoroughly. They found nothing. On May 9th, they acknowledged, I can't believe they did this. They acknowledged, RCMP stated that they had been spelling Lily's name wrong. It should be with 2 L's. Okay, that's great. Thank you. May 13th, Lily and Jack had been missing for 12 days. At 12:54, the RCMP says that they are still investigating the case. They followed up on 180 tips, 35 formal interviews, which I don't think is that much. They never said, but they should have been using a behavioral analyst. Talk about mannerisms and things. May 15th, the RCMP makes another public statement that there's no evidence of abduction. Okay. Again, the press should have asked this. If there's no evidence of abduction, and you've searched and the kids aren't out there, where are they? Logical question, right? I want to see them answer. What are they going to say? Where are they? Friday, May 16th. Again, the kids were missing May 2nd. Kevin McLean, Colchester Search and Rescue, stated searchers would go into the area again on Saturday and Sunday, the 17th and the 18th. Same day, experts on search and rescue and on criminal behavior said that this case is an anomaly. It's an anomaly because there's no evidence where the kids are. And many experts were very befuddled because of that. May 17th, 100 searchers covered new areas and went over old areas previously searched. May 18th, 115 searchers worked all day, more than 12 hours. They stopped at 8 p.m. and the RCMP said that them and the searchers were evaluating results. I'm not sure what that means. If you go out there and 100 searchers find nothing, what are you evaluating? Just a logical question. Also, there's a man named Glenn Brown, 26 years RCMP dog handler, spoke to the press. He said, the fact that the kids haven't been found is just really strange. That's what he said. He said, quote, I find it hard to believe that a 6 and 4-year-old would just disappear like that. And then the news article stated that Glenn had worked hundreds of these search cases. May 23rd. The Halifax community has been devastated. An article from Halifax, written in Halifax, said that they'd been devastated. School counselors had been showing up for parents and kids. The entire community was shaken. Daniel Martel, the stepfather, made a statement that the RCMP told him by email that he was not to give updates to anyone. So now we have the maternal grandmother and you have Daniel Martel both saying they can't talk to the press. So Lillian Jack's maternal grandmother made that statement earlier. I have never heard of this, ever. And I want to know, why isn't the press asking the RCMP why these people can't talk to us? Explain. You want the press and the public thinking about these kids. So kids have not been found. RCMP has not stated it's a criminal investigation. They've not stated that they're done searching.
Boy, that sounds familiar, does it not, guys? Sounds very familiar. How long did it take Sumner County Sheriff's Office to even admit that it was a criminal investigation? We kept hearing no signs of foul play, no signs of foul play, right? And yeah, Kent, the FBI cannot just take over. I realize you're not from America, but the FBI cannot take over a missing child's case unless the leading law enforcement agency gives it to them. And in Sebastian's case, which has been 15 months, the leading agency, Sumner County Sheriff's Department, refuses to hand the case over, even though they only have one officer working on that case. So, you know, I wouldn't be so quick to judge him. You know, you don't know what kind of police officer he was. Right? You know, we don't want to judge the RCMP. Let's not judge him. And I agree with you, Shelley. I think that the RCMP knows more than what they're saying. And it could very well be that the RCMP have not told these people not to talk. We don't know that. Remember that Chris CP kept saying that over and over and over again. We're not supposed to divulge that. We're not supposed to give out that information. And Sumner County later came back and said, we've not told anyone to be quiet. So, I think that we never know, right? We never know what they have told. They have not come out and said that they told Malaya and Daniel not to talk to the press. Yeah, I think he's a good child advocate too. He's just wanting all the things to be done for these children. I agree with them. If all they searched was a little over 1 mile, and guys, I understand that terrain is horrific. And the weather was horrible. But what if those kids were out there? We don't know. Yeah. Exactly. He's speaking honestly from his experience, and we all have our viewpoints, and that's just his. That's a good point, Katie. They may have, right? I don't know when Daniel last said that he hadn't taken one yet, but I agree it should have been earlier rather than later, but for sure. I don't believe anyone in Nova Scotia wants another court case again. Exactly. I agree 100%. And that's a good point, Shelley. After the last case, they don't want the same thing happening again. What they really need to they need to learn from those mistakes, right? They need to learn from those. Dylan Ayler's parents won a lawsuit against a creator on Facebook that had a Facebook group that, from what I understand, was pretty horrific. And they were made to take that Facebook group down. Exactly, Ginger. We can be suspicious of people without threatening and without being hateful, right? And hello, Queen. It's good to see you. Let's continue on. We don't have much further to go with this guy.
But I'm going to go over some things with you that I think are major mistakes. First of all, this happened in a very small community in Nova Scotia. Don't have a lot of crime, don't have a lot of disappearances. So you're dealing with people that don't have a lot of experience in dealing with major incidents like this.
Exactly.
If I was a family member, yeah, I'd be concerned. Number one, RCMP should have polygraphed the mom and the dad on day 3. Standard FBI abduction protocol. And this allows the investigators to focus where they should be focused. Not scattered like a shotgun looking at everything, wondering what's going on with the parents, what's going on with the landscape, or there's no landscaper, but I'm just saying, focus like a rifle shot on where it should be, not everywhere. You're scattering your resources. You're diluting your effort.
That's a good point.
Number two, why in the heck did the mother, Malaya, leave the area of the province and then cut off Daniel from her social media? Now, Daniel made some statements that there were some rumors flying around social media that are really bad. I haven't seen them. And he wanted to call him right away. And that's why he told the RCMP, hey, put me on the polygraph. I got to say that criminals guilty of something, you usually never say that. So I'm a little surprised, but I'd still put him on the poly. Never in the history of me researching missing children have I heard of a mother leave a home or search and rescue headquarters while the search was going on. Never heard of it. Huge mistake. Huge mistake by RCMP. Right here in front of the house is a 2-lane highway. Sometime between 9 and 10 o'clock on May 2nd, those kids disappeared. RCMP should have put up roadblocks on that street between 8 and 11 a.m. And then again between 4 and 7 p.m. and stopped every car going up and down that road on day 4 or 5. Why, Dave? Because there's no doubt that cars had traveled up and down that road during the time frame that the kids disappeared. If you didn't really know that there was a crime that was occurring, maybe what you saw didn't mean a lot to you at the time. Were there kids standing next to a car on the roadway in front of that house? Did you see kids walking down the roadway from the house at that time? All those things, you briefly stop the people, say, hey, we're investigating the disappearance of 2 kids from this house. We want to know if you had driven by it during this time span on Friday. Quick, easy, and they're on their way. But if you never stop anyone, you will never find the answer there, because you'll never find it. The people won't know. Stop everybody. It's not a big inconvenience when you're talking about 2 children. What response did the dog handlers have those first 2 or 3 days that they were on site looking for Lily and Jack?
Exactly. I wondered that.
And if I was the search organizer, I'd be calling them in and asking them, did the dog pick up a scent out there deep in the woods? Now, obviously in the yard, the kids live in the yard. The scent's all over the yard. So that's irrelevant. Going back into the woods, did they track a scent from the yard to deep into the woods, deep into 100 yards? If they didn't, it makes me question what we're doing there.
Good point.
What was the result in the finding with the footprint they found? And I want to see the picture. All these questions, it's not to point fingers at what somebody's doing wrong. That's not what this is about. There's only one thing this is about. It's finding those kids. Period.
Amen.
If you're going to have a bruised ego, then you shouldn't be involved in this business. Sit around a conference table, 7 or 8 of the principals involved in this case. Major crimes investigator, search and rescue organizer, et cetera, dog handlers. And you go around and everybody answers this question. It's got to be done. Did the RCMP Major Crimes Unit interview the parents separately? I hope they did. Did when the officers responded to their house to take the original report, did they search the house? Because that's item number 1 every time. Every time. Not even a question. You'd be surprised how many times during that initial search you find kids sleeping under their bed or something really dumb. What was the point in bringing back searchers days after they said that the kids were probably deceased? Did they get new information? Were they just throwing bait out into the creek hoping something would bite? I don't understand. Did the family have a computer? If they did, I'd get a search warrant and I would seize the computer and have a forensic examiner go through it. I would see all the searches done on that thing in the last 2 weeks. And then I would go through every email sent from that computer in the last month. Therein lies a lot of good leads. Now, I don't know if they have a computer. I'm just saying that standard protocol would have done that. Now, truthfully, every time I've ever been involved in something like this and those statements were made, the parents always would say, yeah, take it. Don't need a search warrant. Take it. Look for it. Clear me. I want you to focus on what's going on out there because it's not me. Many times the police will say, hey, if you're selling a little weed, if you're doing something like that, we don't care. If we find out you're doing that, I don't care. We are interested in finding your children. Please understand that. You and me are on the same page. In one of the articles about this, that man, Glenn Brown, 26 years dog handler for the RCMP, said he can guarantee that every searcher going home is carrying Jack and Lily on their back. I guarantee it's true. I guarantee it's true. The men and women that I've worked with on these things care more than you can ever imagine. It's something you just can't get out of your system. This is one of those cases that would keep me up nights. First of all, I don't believe the RCMP searched far enough from the house. You and I know how far kids can travel because I've exposed that. Even though the terrain may be filled with downfall and things, somehow they're able to manage great distances at times. And if they don't go out and search there, they're never going to find the kids. And there were rumors that the RCMP had stated to Daniel that they didn't have a polygraph examiner in the area to do it. Those were some rumors I read somewhere. I don't know if it's true. Hey, RCMP, call the FBI in Seattle to have an examiner, or correction, call the FBI in Boston. They're on the East Coast. They'll have an agent on a plane and they'll be in Halifax within a couple hours. Do it. If you don't have one in your area, I know the FBI would help. Their polygraph examiners are the best in the world. Do it. Friends, send up a prayer for Jack and Lily. One last comment. You know what name was never, ever brought up in this investigation? By the parents? By anyone? It was the name of the 1-year-old that they had together. Thanks for being here. Seriously, pray for the kids. Be kind.
There you go. So the RCMP did do roadblocks, yes. And guys, there's already so much information out there about Jack and Lily that it is difficult. You'd have to spend every waking hour to catch every little bit of it. He's going mainly by news broadcasts, right? Where you're not going to get some of that other information. Yeah, bruised ego for sure, right? Don't, oh, heaven forbid, don't let anybody else take over the case. You know, you only got one guy working on it, but don't let anybody else take it over. You don't need any more help, right? Thank you, Queen. I appreciate it. Two different colors done in two deep ways, and that's a way it is known reason to get angry or upset with the police. I mean, it's okay to question why they didn't do some things, but he brought up a good point. They're a small county, they're a small area, they're probably not very well experienced in missing person cases. All right, let me check and see what we're saying here. So, I just wanted to go over some of the points that he brought up. He is an ex-police officer, not RCMP, guys. He knows. I think he must be from the States. He knows how things are supposed to be handled. Obviously, he doesn't know about Sebastian's case because he would then know that there is a mother that left right away. So I found it interesting what he had to say. And, did he know everything? No, he didn't. Do we know everything? No, we don't. We're not professionals here. We're just trying to figure it out like everybody else, right? We're trying to bring up things to see what could they have missed. I feel very strongly along with him, and I believe Ginger said the same thing about the polygraph. I liked what he said. It's not just a matter of sitting down for it. They're watching, right? They're watching behavior, everything. So, and we do know that it wasn't done on the third day because Daniel said it wasn't. Yes, there are some good YouTubers that have compiled a lot of the data and information. We can't just look at one news source. I agree, right? I agree. But I will tell you that I try to get most of my information from news sources as well. or professionals like this man is an ex-police officer. I like to look at what they have to say because they have experience under their belt, guys. So that's why I like to look at that stuff because, or we look at Mr. Yummy, who is an attorney trained in statement analysis, right? We've looked at people trained in behavior analysis. I like to look at professionals. We're guys, no one is going to support law enforcement more than me. My son-in-law is a retired police officer, an investigator, you name it. I will always back the blue. That doesn't mean I'm not going to suspect some things once in a while, right? What's breaking, Kent? Oh, I saw that too. Okay, and I understand what you're saying, but I also know that there's a lot of click and bait people out there, and so some will push information that is totally false, and it's hard to know who to trust. Criticism should come from their superiors after proper investigation, not by an angry mob public. I agree. And I have never ever promoted that anybody should go and complain to law enforcement about any case because I don't agree with it. It has to be done by superiors and proper investigation. I saw that before I even got on, Kent. We'll see, right? That's all I got to say is we'll see. Yes, there's a lot of it going on. A lot of it going on. A lot of clickbait. And that is, guys, if you really listen to some good YouTubers, and I'm talking good, I'm talking people like Plunder, who she gets her information from news sources, from FOIA requests, okay? Annie Elise, those kind of people. They get their information from news channels and FOIA requests. So you want to be, I'm telling you, I'm just saying, you want to be very, very careful. Okay, let's be careful and not put any names of creators in chat, guys, please. Please do not put creators' names in chat. We don't do that here. So, anyway, I'll be watching, of course, to see if any of that is true. And if so, we will talk about it tomorrow night. And I mean, it is true. Anybody can offer a reward, right? You just have to follow their procedures to claim any kind of a reward. Guys, okay, I'm just sorry, guys. I'm just deleting comments because I've asked you not to talk about creators in the chat. We don't do that here. We don't talk about other creators in our chat. And so I delete any comments in regards to that. So let's get on to the fact that Jack and Lily are missing. That's what's important here. Not other creators, not even the RCMP. What's important is that those two kids are missing and they need to be found. They deserve to be found, guys. So, remember that today is Missing Children's Day. And my grannyism for today is sometimes when even one person is missing, the whole world seems depopulated. And I feel that same way. I feel like, you know, when you look at Seth, right? Exactly, K9. Thank you for saying that. Exactly. And we have done such a good job of keeping the drama out of our channel, making this a safe place for people to come and talk. And we're just not gonna let that ruin our focus at all. Exactly. It's an etiquette thing. It's nothing personal. They don't like it, and I don't I don't allow it here either, right? Um but I think about Seth. He probably does feel like the whole world seems depopulated without his son, right? It's too soon to know about Malaya or Daniel yet. I How they're really feeling. But Dylan's dad, I don't remember his name. He obviously feels the same way, right? Every time I've seen him, he breaks my heart, right? You think an Amber Alert is needed? Um, yeah, I evidently they don't think so. I don't know why. They do things differently there. We do know that, right? Um, and I have noticed, let's see. Um, so this is missingkids.ca, and you go to Nova Scotia, and Jack and Lily aren't on here. Dylan is, and another young man, but Jack and Lily are not on this report, which I found really sad. Right, guys? Oh, let me take it off there so you can see it. Um, this is missingkids.ca. You hit Nova Scotia. I've only got two, Troy Cook and Dylan Ayler. And Jack and Lily are not on it. And it's been 3 weeks, over 3 weeks, guys. I find that very, very sad, right? That they're not on this database yet. Dylan's dad's name is Jason. Gotcha. Yeah, Jason breaks my heart just like Seth does. I finished watching that video that we were watching yesterday. Just broke my heart, guys. But why isn't Jack and Lily on this? Seriously, this is not an Amber Alert. This is missingkids.ca. Why aren't Jack and Lily on this? It's been 3 weeks. I understand them not even maybe being on there the first week, right? It's been 3 weeks. Why aren't they on it? You know, doggone technology. How are people going to know if it isn't being communicated? Um, yeah. Well, and that's what Seth is fighting for, right? He's fighting for Amber Alerts to be changed. Because evidently he's been told the only reason Sebastian was put on there was because of his autism. Um, not every child qualifies for an Amber Alert. Let me Amber Alert criteria. Okay, the criteria for issuing an Amber Alert include reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred. Okay, so we know that neither Sumner County nor RCMP believe that an abduction occurred in either one of these cases. The child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. There's enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction to assist in the recovery of the child. Confirmation that a child is 17 years of age or younger, whose whereabouts are unknown and whose disappearance poses a credible threat to their safety. The abduction must be confirmed regardless of whether it was by a custodial parent or guardian. These criteria are designed to ensure that Amber Alerts are issued in appropriate situations to maximize the chances of recovering abducted children. So it's basically about abduction, guys. And our CMP has stated that they do not believe that Lily and Jack were abducted. So that's why there's no Amber Alert for them. There's your answer. Hello, SRB. Good to see you. So there is your answer as far as the Amber Alerts go. I will say this. It doesn't say. So if Sumner County said that to Seth, that the only reason that they put out an Amber Alert is because of his autism, that's not one of the criteria. So medical is not the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. I mean, there's not. I'm just saying. I'm reading it to you here. Yeah, so why are they asking for trail cam footage from 5 days prior now? Yeah. Well, and I imagine they can do an Amber Alert. I don't know. Do they do an Amber Alert later on? I don't know. Guys. All I know is what I'm reading you here. I don't know. No, this is the major this is guidelines for issuing Amber Alerts. I don't think you're the only one. Obviously, Seth is upset about it as well. But okay, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here for a minute. So, guys, we know that about 2,500 children go missing every day in the United States alone. That's not including anywhere else, including Canada. Okay? They have to have, I mean, not every child can be an Amber Alert, right? Our phones would never stop buzzing because they go missing like every second, every 30 seconds or something. I read somewhere, something like that. Do you want your phone beeping every 30 seconds? So there has to be some kind of qualifications for an Amber Alert. right? Like I said, playing devil's advocate. I don't know. You know, should yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? But I do question, like, when you have toddlers and little children, shouldn't again, shouldn't shouldn't they be an Amber Alert? I'm just throwing that out there, you know, um, because they're more at risk than I'm even going to say it, guys, and it may not be popular, but they're a, a toddler like Dylan or Lily or Jack, they're more in danger than even 15-year-old Sebastian was. Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think toddlers should be put on there maybe up to age? I don't know, right? I don't, then where do you cut it off? It does save lives. And yes, they did issue an endangered child alert. They did. Yeah. Toddlers, little ones, they are more vulnerable for sure. Because older kids are going to be a little bit more experienced, guys. They're going to know about finding berries in the woods or even a dumpster diving, something to eat, right? Water. But little toddlers and babies aren't going to understand that. I do think all missing needs some type of alert, even if it only goes out locally. If they can do weather alerts to specific areas, then yeah, but weather alerts don't happen every 30 seconds, SRB. I'm just saying. I guess locally it wouldn't be every 30 seconds though, but well, Ginger, you were very blessed and very lucky because I wasn't. I was born and raised in Chicago. I had to be home by the time the streetlights went on. I could only go around the block, although I didn't always listen, but yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking, a certain age, something. But they did send out an alert. They sent out an endangered child alert. They did issue that. But mom was pushing for an Amber alert. Malaya was. Okay, nine. Oh my gosh. Oh. Girl, you get me laughing all the time. Oh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, most of us don't get bush training. Oh goodness. Thank you for making me. Oh. Oh. You're very good at it. Thing is, once I start, I can't stop. Oh, I'm crying. I'm laughing so hard. Oh my gosh. That was funny. Oh. But yes, I mean, I don't honestly know whether Amber Alerts should be changed. I don't know. Um if anything, I'm thinking they need to add toddlers and younger children to it, right? Um because I think they are in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death, right? Stop it. Oh, goodness. But seriously, the little ones do fall into that second category, right? Um, even though they may not be abducted, um, which I think was the whole point for Amber Alerts to begin with, right? Was for abductions. And I think that's why, like the RCMP, stuck with that from the beginning because they didn't believe that Jack and Lily were abducted. I mean, not that it can't be possible. Of mice and men. Gotcha. Huh. Interesting. I watch my grandma did too. We had to go out to the pump and pump the water. She had to heat water for the dishes or for baths. Wood stove for cooking. Had a she had a wood stove in the kitchen, and yes, a wood stove in the living room for heating up the home. Um, the upstairs was cold. There would be frost on top of our covers when we got in bed at night in the wintertime. Oh, it was freezing. She did have electricity though, and we had an outhouse. We had an outhouse. Brenda, Joe, and I used to play in the outhouse together. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was something. Yeah, I do the same, K9. I try to watch a movie or a show every night. Um, just to take my mind off things. Otherwise it gets too hard. It's pretty dark with all these missing kids cases and our hearts are torn because these kids aren't home and ugh, it's just sad, very sad. But anyway, guys, yeah, looking at that Sears catalog, right? Yeah. And the only thing she could get on TV, I mean, was just a very few channels. And when you come from Chicago and you're on vacation and grandma's watching you while mom and dad are out, there's at night, there's absolutely nothing to do. It's so boring. It was awful. Yep, they were rough toilet paper. My grandma had a brother who was mentally ill. There was something not right about him, and he rarely talked. Um, but he would just sit in the living room on his chair, and he'd just watch everybody. And if the little kids were on the floor playing with their toys, he would laugh. Like if they did stuff with their toys, make a truck roll across the floor or something, he would laugh. He'd be like a little kid. Um, and he had his own outhouse out back. And my cousins, I didn't do this, I have to say. My cousins went into his outhouse one day, and he had all the women's underwear pictures up pasted in his outhouse. Yeah, just, yeah, Uncle Jay, he was harmless, right? But yeah. Kids would throw ball with him, or roll the ball toward him, and then he'd roll it back and he'd laugh. It was cute. It was fun. Grandma took care of him. Oh, so all right, guys. Well, that's all I really have for tonight. Um, we'll be back tomorrow night. Oh, I think we might be. You guys have plans for Memorial Day? That's a good thought. I never thought about it, Neuro. He did keep to himself. He could have been. He could very well have been autistic, Neuro. That's a good point. All these years later, I never thought about that. Nope, nope. Nobody has plans for Memorial Day. Gotcha. I don't either. Seriously don't. So, oh, that's right. Not in Canada, right? So typically I used to go out to the grave sites with my mom, but not going to do that. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Please, please, if you haven't already, hit the like button on your way out. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great night. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granniescrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.